Hey, what's up? What's going on?
What's up, girl?
How
While
you?
I'm trying to feed my face.
Hey, you have the right to do that. I'm probably gonna be joining you in a little bit because I have something in the oven and the oven's gonna go off. But I'm Natalie Hayden,
And I'm the Burn Badger.
and we
Welcome.
are Explore
Expo.
the podcast. The podcast, yes. And
You
so
don't know if it's a podcast or a mukbang. I'm telling you, I got it all twisted up in here.
I mean, she got a couple things going on, but that's okay. We get to be a mukbang. It can be we having some good conversation today. But our topic of choice and Laverne has been itching to talk about this. I mean, from the moment that it came out,
Man.
I think this was on everybody's to do or to watch list. And that's
Right.
that
I was
CJ Walker, right?
right, but everything, and it was a good movie. Let's start off by saying that. It was definitely a good mini series. I really
Hmm.
enjoyed it. But we need to talk about it.
Yeah,
Because
so
I think people just skated all around some of the things that was happening in that movie.
and you are not trying to let that slide being a woman, an entrepreneur, and someone that is of integrity and that just want what's due to you. And you want people to represent you when you leave a legacy behind the right way. I think that's what this is about, right?
That's what it's about. Yes, yes.
Mm.
And I do want to make sure I say that this is not a knock on Madam C.J. Walker and the things that she has accomplished. Um, Absolutely, based on the time that was in, it was unheard of a woman, let alone a black woman, to soar the way that she soared. So,
Let's start with, see, I'm sort of like the two positives and a negative before we
oh,
jump in, like before we jump to like what we do not
don't like
appreciate
about it. Okay,
before the next start rolling and all of that. But
right,
I think one thing that I really appreciate is that it really highlighted her drive, her um determination and her
right,
willingness to not take no for an answer. Every time that there was a no, she was not discouraged long because
right.
we can be discouraged, but she wasn't discouraged long enough to keep her down, and she just kept going. I think when we talk about Madam CJ Walker and the title self-made, to me, and just doing a little backstory and
Mm.
research on my own, she was the first Black female millionaire. So when I think of self-made in that regard, that's where I'm like, okay, I can
Right.
appreciate that. Even though, okay, yes, we gracefully bow
Kudos to
down
her.
to
We
that
bowing down.
because at the end of the day, she was the first Black self-made millionaire. Well,
In
I
every
mean,
sense of the word.
in every sense of the word. So now the way that she may have gotten there it raises some questions to you. Raises some questions to you, and it raises a little bit of questions to me too. But I could respect her hustle, and I just the way the story unfolded in the narrative that was plotted for her, it just seemed as if when I did see, I'm gonna say this: when I saw the part where she was not honest and she took something and attempted to make a sale, and then she was like, "Well, let me try to recreate this."
Well, let's
It
say what
wasn't
it
like
is.
she created it for nothing.
She stole
Yes,
something.
it wasn't. She didn't make this up on her own. It was already something that was a formula that was already created.
Right.
So,
And I do again. Um, I loved her drive just like you did. And I loved how she wanted to make it a family business.
yes.
I
Mm-hmm.
love that she was trying to put that drive into her daughter. And pay it forward into her daughter, and then even with her son-in-law, which didn't turn out well, but she still was trying to, and her husband as well.
A for effort, right? A for effort
Right,
in that time. And I
right,
think that's something that our community, or that's how the urban community was really, that was a foundation for us, was to, once we make it, we were to look out for those around us, because you're not successful if your family is not doing well either.
right,
So that's another positive that I really took from that. And, that us being women, even though there were some things, some cattiness going on, I mean, I didn't let that sort of allow me to really overlook and for that to be overshadowed that she did want women to succeed.
right. That whole thing what she did with allowing women to come aboard and be salesperson for people for her, and making her own money. Again, kudos to her. You got to be able to bring people forward with you. That it's our duty. When you make it, or when we make it, it is our duty to make sure that we pay it forward.
That's right. That's right. So I was a little conflicted with the word self-made. And even though I said it, I am still conflicted at the word, because I think no one is self-made. She would have
True.
not been the woman, made those millions of dollars, had she not had an army, a tribe of
Of people.
people that
Yeah.
supported her, and especially her husband, even though he sort of bitched him on about things, but he was still there and
Right.
he tried.
He was supporting her dream. And when I thought it was hilarious, but then I'm like, there you go. Like, that's that husband you want behind you, that's washing heads and don't know what the hell he doing. You know
Right.
what I mean? Like, he messing up that woman head, but he doing the best that he can. He doing the best he can.
Yeah, buddy.
His wife said, "This is where you need to be, and helping out. This is where I need your hand and help." And he was right there, supporting her. I think where she lost them, the male ego is something to be said, and I think when she started to lose them is when you start to lose the value in a person. And I think that tends to happen when it comes to family, is that you
Sight.
don't appreciate the ones, right, you don't appreciate the ones that's closest to you somehow.
Yeah, yeah. And
You know,
there's so many ways that we can go with that. I know I was thinking like, well, she really is trying, and she's just, he knew that she was overly ambitious when he married her, you know. And
mm-hmm.
then another thing was, well, is that an excuse for you to like act a donkey, in your
But
in
he was he was successful in his own right as well. Like,
yes.
he didn't she didn't pick up a bum.
No, she didn't.
And but I think probably part of the problem is that he did drop his stuff, what he was doing, to jump on board with the family business.
So hold on, let's sit with that for a minute, because when we talk about relationships, we talk about how we should be equally yoked with one another, and that's not always the spiritual narrative, but you want to sort of align yourself with like a match, in a sense, not someone that's totally like you, but because opposites do attract, but you somewhat want someone that may have like-minded ambition, or someone that is a go-getter, someone that may have the same morals and values within the family that you have. And I was just thinking that in this case, she was matched with someone that was like somewhat her equal. And I think that where was I going? I sort of lost my train of thought for a second. But
I
we're
do.
talking,
So I think what you're saying is like the people should be equally yoked. However, opposites attract, right?
yes,
Like, so I don't want somebody exactly like me, because we would be chaos all the time. You know what I
right,
mean?
right.
Like, I need Richard tends to be a little bit more calmer than I am.
Mhm.
Um, and if we were both high strung, and that just would not work, you know,
I guess my
just wouldn't work.
question to, like in a relationship, when we talk about somebody that is overly or, like highly ambitious, do you think it would help if we, would it work if we met someone or we linked up and aligned ourselves with someone that's somewhat like us? Or would that be conflicting because you have two leadership type of individuals and, there could be differences in all of that and how we communicate that. And I just felt like in that he was losing sight, she was losing sight. She was very aggressive and she did not back down about her business. She made it very clear that it was her business. That was one thing that really sort of, her
Yeah, they really put
language.
emphasis. They really put emphasis on um, making sure that we, as the audience, um, made it seem like he had. This is why he strayed, and
Yes.
so they they put things in place to say, "Oh, we know what's getting ready to happen here." She keeps saying, "Mine, I," and and he giving her side eye, and she's
Hmm.
overstep. She's dismissing his ideas, and
Overriding
so
all of that. Yes.
right, his opinion, um, and I just think that her lane was her lane. She knew that business, and she knew you can't. I think the problem became is that her vision was not his vision.
And
You can't
so
play
let's
out.
sit in
You
that for a
can't
little
have
bit because
somebody.
that can
Yeah,
be
you
really
can't.
tricky in a
Right,
relationship.
you can have. Right, you can have people that are in your corner, but there's nobody. If God gave a vision to you, no one else is going to be able to play out that vision
But you.
because it was for you. Now there's players to help you, you know, go through the process of that vision, but
Hmm.
and it comes from a good place. Like he was trying to help, but it wasn't the help wasn't necessarily the help she wanted because it wasn't in the vision that she saw it in. And
Hmm.
so yeah, that you when the business takes over the relationship, it's always going to be problems.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, so now I want to think about it in this way. It looked like she experienced some physical abuse from the first husband, right?
Hmm.
And I was thinking, like, do you think that some of her assertiveness and, her ambition was that she never wanted to fall prey to a situation where she was, you know,
Don't ever need a man
never leaning
or
in
let
again.
one take
Yeah, I mean,
over.
like,
Absolutely.
yeah, and so, I think about that in modern day, in present day, where you have so many highly educated, powerful, overly ambitious women that are single, and sometimes it makes me think like, well, I wonder what is the backstory behind that. And it's just not the physical. We talk about domestic abuse. It has many tentacles, the psychological, the financial, the spiritual, the manipulation, all of that plays a role in how women are so independent these days where they're like, I don't need a man. I want a man, but I don't need one, you know?
Right. And I think you hit it right on the nail in regards to her past relationship affecting how
Hmm.
she moves in her current relationship, because that's how we all are. It,
Absolutely.
we survived domestic abuse, and now we're in our own lanes, and you know it's our goal that we will never let a man take us to the place that the previous one took us. And so I think he was, and then she had colorism. So they talked about the colorism. So now you bring in her issues with light-skinned women, you
Right.
know, and it just, she had all these underlying um, triggers and issues that she had that had nothing to do with him. But at the end of the day, she still was trying to build an empire,
Yeah.
and
There
she
was
did build.
nothing that was going to get in the way of her, even if she had to have stole. Somebody
So
stole part of the ingredients for her famous secret.
let's
Let's
talk.
go
Let's
into
sit
that.
there for a second. Let's sit there
Okay.
for a second, because this is the part that got me. Like everything else, all up into the end, where she they finally met head to head again,
Mm-hmm.
and she was like, "Yeah, I stole I stole it. I stole, I, I just could, she stole it." Like I was like, I'm like, did she just admit to that?
Yep.
And and then you sarcastically, arrogantly, not sarcastically, arrogantly say, "I tried to bring you in and be partners with you." Are
So
you
she
fucking kidding
dismissed
me?
it. She
You
just
dismissed. Here, that woman. I don't even remember her name. God, I don't remember her name. But here she was, Madam C.J. Walker, living in a mansion, creating all this wealth for her
mm-hmm.
family
Mm-hmm.
and those around her. She's helping to create, but you tore down another Black woman at the end of the day, and you stole from the legacy of another Black woman. Now, whether she had been able to do what Madam C.J. Walker did with the product, because everybody said it smelled horribly, that ain't the point. The point is the foundation of your product
It's
was
fraud.
somebody else's that you did not give credit to.
Right, right,
Now,
right.
that's the bottom line, is that you didn't give credit to where the credit was due. Like, there, in today's world, there's things out here that's being copycat and all of that stuff, but they even use the terminology patent.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm assuming that back in that day that was a thing, that they understood that you shouldn't be able to steal people's stuff,
Mm-hmm.
ideas and stuff. And that just bothered me, that she did that and had no problem doing that. And I think in her mind is because that light-skinned woman rejected her,
Mm-hmm. And she wanted to show
that
her.
she felt justified in doing what she did.
Mm.
And I just think that the lesson in that was, we can't celebrate the success and not recognize and take heed to what she did to get there.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like we need to have a moment with that, and not to be disrespectful, but it just seemed like nobody was saying anything. Everybody just kept on Facebook and stuff, it feels almost a little disrespectful to say something negative,
Mm-hmm.
based on how much she's accomplished. But
There
I
are
don't know. Did
many
she have kids?
women, there are many
Did she
people
have
that have
kids?
accomplished great things, and it's not all legit how they got there. So we can say that.
We can say that. Yep, yep. But I, it just didn't. But it ain't right then. It's not right when people do it.
Right.
It just seemed really sad and disappointed to see two Black women do it to each other, especially during a time when they wasn't giving Black people,
Any chances.
Black women, opportunities
Right.
like that. So my eyes look low, like I'm super high or something.
Well, they not. At least you got your lashes.
What's wrong with my lashes? Why you ain't got no lashes? What?
What I'm saying,
Why you say I got lashes? You can see my.
I can see. I'm saying at least you have. I can see them.
Oh,
Yes. Oh my gosh. Help her, Lord, help her. Yes.
we've been in this house too long. So, so yes, it that I just felt like we needed to expose that,
Madam CJ.
speak on.
I think it's
We
really
need to speak
um
on.
we're in a season where I think most of us are smart enough to not just take a story for what it is, to do some back logging research
Right,
and to
right.
find out for yourself. And
Yeah, because it seemed like the other family was not supportive of the movie. It was a depiction. They said it was not a good depiction of what is her name. I feel like I'm doing wrong by her by not knowing the other lady's name, forgetting her name. Um, Let me see if I can get her name. But yeah, keep going.
yeah, I just think it's
Um
so before we can sit and believe, a storyline, I think it's best to do your own research about how someone has become successful. And, both of us, we're on a track to become women of integrity. That's the main thing.
right, Annie Malone. That was her name.
Annie Malone. Okay, okay.
Annie Malone. I'm
I
like,
don't even,
let me.
I don't even remember that number. I mean that name.
Yeah. But yep, it was Annie Malone, and it just yeah. So her family, there are some family members of hers that are still around who don't support the movie, that they felt like it didn't depict her in a good light,
Hmm.
and and it and at first it didn't. It just was like it made it seem like she was being a hater of another woman
Hmm.
who was able to be successful in the same field as her, and but she was fighting for the right of a product she created.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah, I mean, it's almost something to the extent where I think like, well, what's for you is what's for you, but then also we, like you said, we have to look at how a person, what is their journey, what does that journey look like, and does it speak to the integrity and being compassionate and being honest and authentic to who you are as a person when you're creating. And so
right.
like I definitely I peeped the game when I watched it. I was just like, oh, so she just gonna steal her stuff.
Snatch that right on, snatch it, be like, oh, you don't want to work with me? Let me go on and steal this formula and
She
make
came
this
back and she
mine.
said, "This is, here's the money that I earned you. I just want to show you that I can do it." And so, even I think with that response, she was not anticipating that the type of response she received, even after she came back and was honest and saying, "I just wanted to show
But
you."
see, that's hard to respond when I'm thinking that you stole from me. Like
Mm-hmm.
the outcome is still you took the product
You weren't honest.
and want to see if you can sell some of the product, and then you came back to me with the money and stuff and said, see, I told you I could do it.
Mm-hmm.
And but now I'm thinking, I didn't even give you permission to do that. Why would you take something from me? Because what would you have done if it didn't work?
Or if it was a product that just wasn't up to quality.
Right. So yeah, I just yeah, I'm just strolling through here, but
I hope
that
you
was my
feel like you
I,
got it off your chest. Because she was struggling, y'all. She was struggling.
I was struggling. When I tell you I was struggling with how that ended and the struggle that Addie went through,
Mm-hmm.
like she was losing stuff, and she had a whole story too. Like she left an abusive husband.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she showed up in a new town with a black eye because she left her husband.
Yes. Yeah.
and was
Yeah.
trying to start over, and to have your rival be like you competing against yourself,
Right.
because the basis of the product is yours.
Yeah. I mean, like when I think about that in this day and time, I I mean, I just think that we're just all so unique and different. Even if someone was to like take an idea that I may have shared with them, it's not gonna
Right.
be my idea. It's not gonna be me, you know?
Right. And there definitely is ways where people share stuff and the
Right.
basis of stuff all the time. Like,
Hmm.
how many versions of a cola is there?
Right.
You know, Coke has their own formula, but I'm sure that the basic formula of a cola is very similar, if not the same. And
Right.
then you put your spin on it to make it, Coca-Cola versus a Aldi's brand cola. You know what I
Off
mean?
brand. Right.
Right. So it's not that it doesn't happen. And people say all the time, why create the wheel? You just need to figure out what the niche is and make it
Your own.
better and your own.
That's right.
But when you're not even trying to give credit, that's where it just it didn't sit well.
It leaves a
But
bad taste. But I think one thing that I feel like we can leave our listeners and viewers with is that, like you said, if you have something and there's a will already out there, I think it's empowering for one to recognize that none of us got anywhere by ourselves, and we
hmm
have to give credit where it's due. Like everything that we do, we're always trying to reach back and say, we didn't do this by ourselves. We
we're
went,
always trying to give people credit, and like, we ain't the first podcasters.
no,
You know what I'm saying? We ain't the first ones to do this, won't be the last to do this. We're not the first survivor of domestic abuse, and won't be the last
that's right.
survivor of domestic abuse. We are individuals who choose to tell our stories. We won't be the last individuals to tell our stories. And whatever it is, whatever formula that we use, and somebody comes over and says, "Ooh, I like their format. I'm
Hmm.
going to take heed and mimic their format." Go right ahead.
Go right
But
ahead.
what I don't want is you to take our content and
Hmm.
pretend that it's yours.
Yes, that's right.
You
That's
can
right.
go and be inspired by what we do, because we're inspired by others all the time,
That's right.
you know, but we're not trying to steal anybody's content,
Mm.
or of what they may have created for them. I just think that it's bogus, and
It's not authentic and
it's
true.
not authentic, and I don't think that it should pan out. Sometimes people it pan out for people, because she ended up becoming the millionaire, but she was sick and
Mm-hmm.
ended up, with a husband who wasn't faithful to
Right.
her, you
Right.
know. So I don't know. I don't know. But we gonna say we definitely it definitely was a movie that made me feel proud to be a Black woman.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. It made me proud to be a Black woman, and to know that we could do anything that we set our minds up to do.
Think about like the negative piece that many people took from it, and it's a learning curve for me. It helps me it reminds me to say, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to show up
Right.
differently if an opportunity presents itself for you to be dishonest, to not operate in integrity, to go take the easy route and to say, oh, like to bamboozle your way into success. And it just really made me think and just say, continue to, be true and authentic to yourselves and
Right.
credit where it's due, and don't try to knock somebody for what they're doing, and just appreciate the sister or the woman that's alongside of you trying to get it as well. There's nothing wrong.
Right, right. That that's it. So let's just end it when we just
Yep.
have to continue to support each other.
Yep.
That's the one thing, is that we have to not be fearful that the next person is trying to steal or take from us. You know what, like you said, what God has for us, He has for us.
That's right.
But we still also need to be cautious. You know,
You guard
he
those
ain't
things,
raised no
right?
fools.
That's
You
right.
know, he ain't raised no fools. So, but I love that. I want that energy to continue. That was in the movie, which is that we continue to support our sisters,
That's right.
our women, our sister friends, our
Our
women
old,
entrepreneurs,
yes,
our all of that,
yes.
all of that. So
Oh, yes. Are you feeling relieved? How you
I
feeling?
am feeling relieved. I feel like I have to get that off my chest.
And the world now knows how Laverne Badger feels
Felt about that movie.
about that movie. Yes.
And these are
Well,
definitely the views of Laverne Badger, and not
right. Yes.
not
Girl.
necessarily the views of the Exposed the podcast.
But that's okay. I just didn't speak much on it, but it's okay. I was thinking the same thing. But
Okay.
I am Natalie Hayden,
And I am Laverne Badger.
and we
Ooh,
are,
it's raining outside, girl.
it is. Let me not get this.
Sorry,
I looked
I
out the
know.
got
And this
distracted.
is Exposed the
This is Exposed the Podcast,
podcast.
guys. And we are signing off.
All right, y'all.
Bye, guys. Peace out.
Bye.
Bye.